I've been under the protection of the FBI, Homeland Security, and the Justice Department because of threats on my life. So I really don't want to say where I'm at, but hello. I'm Rick Alan Ross. I'm a cult deprogrammer, and I've been helping people escape cults since 1982. Today, I'll be breaking down clips from TV and film about cults. This clip is from The Vow.
Our main emphasis, our main belief is to have people experience more joy in their lives.
What does it mean if you're integrated? You're joyful. And part of it was like, this is cool. This is a code to understand myself.
Anyone can be captured by a cult. I've deprogrammed 5 medical doctors. How does that happen? If you're in a position where you're isolated, you're alone, you're hurting, you're worried, and a group comes along and says, look, we've got the answers. We can help you. They've got to have something good. Otherwise, no one would be taken in by them.
Keith developed a model called rational inquiry. We refer to rational inquiry as a technology.
It was a process designed to produce quantifiable results.
The premise of rational inquiry, as presented by NXIVM, was that this is a panacea. This is a cure-all. You can make more money, be higher functioning. The problem with NXIVM is that wasn't all they were up to. They were breaking people down in order to change them. This is typical of what's called large group awareness training organizations, where they bring people together in a kind of seminar setting. And what we're talking about is a kind of process that goes on day after day after day. During this time, you are constantly with other NXIVM devotees. You're constantly hearing their jargon. You may not be getting enough sleep. You may not be eating right. You're kind of getting worn out. And at the same time, you're being subjected to a kind of inquisition in which the group expects you to cathartically divulge everything about yourself. What is your ultimate pain? All of this leads to a point of exaltation and a kind of epiphany. And from that point forward, you may be hooked. Midsummer. First of all, when you watch Midsummer, it's a depiction of a kind of pagan, secretive, ritualistic cult. And this is really kind of overamped. But what's interesting about this clip that really resonates, that's real, is that the woman sees something terrible and she reacts to it spontaneously. And then what the group does is they encapsulate her and then they mimic her. And what they're doing by mimicking her pain is they're, in a sense, dismissing her. And she's no longer an individual. She's part of a collective. And what we see in that particular scene is as they're breathing in unison and voicing their grief together, there's a kind of rhythm to it. It can become hypnotic, and it can become mood altering, and it can be a trance-inducing process. And so this becomes an avenue of manipulation. And many groups will handle things in different ways, but the general pathway is to lose your sense of individuality, autonomy, critical thinking, your ability to analyze alone. Instead, you need to be dependent upon the group to experience this with you, to guide you in your perception of what it is that you're seeing. And that's what you're seeing in that scene. It's very real. Once upon a time in Hollywood.
So George gave you all permission to be here?
Of course he did.
And you all take care of him?
Oh, we take care of George.
Yeah, Charlie Manson had his cult, the family, out at Spa Ranch. And yes, there was a man named George at the ranch. But what's interesting about this clip is this is how cult compounds function. People that want to visit someone that is under the control of the cult may find it very difficult.
Well, is there anything wrong with me saying hello to an old friend?
You can't see him right now.
Why can't I see him right now?
Because he's napping.
Excuses are made. Oh, they're away, they're shopping, they're busy. And the idea is to separate them and isolate them and keep them within the group control. What you see is this we-they dichotomy, where we are the elect, we're the group, and outsiders are really not welcome. The way that the women confronted Brad Pitt, the way they all looked at him, and their body language, it's very typical of many cult groups in that it illustrates their single-mindedness and that they're reinforcing each other. Charlie Manson weaponized women to kill people, and they could be ferocious. So yes, there were women that would serve as guards, and then they would do whatever he wanted them to do. Charlie says,
Well. What do we have here?
Gypsy said Leslie would be happier with you.
Gypsy, my baby Gypsy.
what you see in this clip is this recruitment, this seduction process. You know, Charlie Manson was very charismatic. He could be very charming. He could seem so in the moment, so spontaneous. But in reality, everything was very carefully planned by Charles Manson.
Be my mirror.
The mirroring exercise is just to basically get her to let him take charge.
Where did you find her?
She was hanging around my harem for a while.
Beautiful brother Bobby. He really knows how to make love to the girls. That's what they'll tell me. Sadie's made love to Bobby, right?
I guess we all make love to him at this point, huh?
Sex is being used as a lure. Cults do this all the time. There have been a number of groups, like Children of God, that would do what they called flirty fishing.
Gypsy told me all about you and your family.
I can't take her.
Charlie, I think we should let her stay. She digs us and she's hungry.
She's caught up in this idea that this is a privilege, this is a wonderful thing, that this group is offering her a place.
You like her, you teach her. You keep an eye on her and you see if she belongs with us.
You don't want new members talking to new members. You want a new member talking to someone who's very experienced, he can rely on, that will bring this person in deeper.
Then you can stay.
I don't think in this film that you can see the intensity that Charlie Manson really had. He had a way of looking at people that was so intense, hypnotic, really. Waco.
This morning I woke up with this funny feeling right here in my gut. Then I realized what it was. Joy.
I think they've captured the charisma of David Koresh. He was a very charismatic, very convincing, compelling leader. What you're seeing is how he can be self-deprecating, humble, and that people are taken in by this. He made such extreme demands on people for husbands to give up their wives, for wives to have sex with him, for mothers to give him their minor children. And I think if he had been less demanding, but as charismatic as he was, he would have had a much larger following.
You got your law degree from Harvard. Was that enough for you, Wayne?
Nope. I think what David Koresh is showing you in this particular scene is our notions that intelligent, sophisticated people would not fall prey to a cult are mistaken.
Steve, professor of theology. You lived with your wife, Judy, in paradise on the beach in Hawaii. Enough?
Not even close.
Not even close!
He's using these examples of these people to glue them in to the compound. Are you questioning my understanding of the Bible? How can you do that if Steve doesn't do it? They don't see it as I have given up everything for the leader. And I speak as someone who deprogrammed 2 Waco Davidians. If you have no idea how total their commitment was. They were literally willing to die for him. And of course they did in the end. The Master.
Excuse me, some of this sounds quite like hypnosis. Is it not?
This is a process of dehypnotization, if you will. Man is asleep. This process wakes him from his slumber.
The Master is loosely based on the history of L. Ron Hubbard and the Church of Scientology. When the man questioning him says, it looks like hypnosis, isn't it hypnosis? The most obvious explanation is, yes, it's hypnosis. So this is really opening up the hood and seeing the mechanics of how the Master really manipulates people.
You've also said that these methods, cause methods, can cure leukemia, according to your book. And
some forms of leukemia. In being able to access past lives, we are able to treat illnesses that may have started back thousands, even trillions of years.
If you make a claim that cannot be proven, but it doesn't require me to do anything, like you say Santa Claus is real, it's your belief, fine. But when you start asking me for money, and you start asking me to believe you and support you and do volunteer work for you and everything, I have a right to ask, how do you prove that?
I find it quite difficult to comprehend, or more to the point, believe that you believe, sir, that time travel hypnosis therapy can bring world peace and cure cancer.
I have never been to the pyramids. Have you?
No.
And yet we know that they are there, because learned men have told us so.
You really want to watch that. Did he answer my question or did he evade my question? Is he using tactics on me, being belligerent, being angry with me because he doesn't want me to stay on topic and continue to ask these questions? All of these are strategies that cult leaders use.
Oh, this isn't a discussion, it's a grilling.
I'm sorry you're unwilling to defend your beliefs in any kind of rational
way. Oh, if you already know the answers to your questions, then why ask?
What you see in The Master is that in the 1950s, the same dynamic, the same methodology is being used by this leader as is being used by Keith Raniere in the present day. The leaders' names change, but the game doesn't change. The Handmaid's Tale. This woman giving birth is not an individual act. It's a group experience. What we see are all of these very intensely indoctrinated people that have accepted the group narrative of what's happening. And for them, this is reality. What we think is crazy, the group sees as reality. I see Elizabeth Moss, her character, as being very similar to many people today living in North Korea. Even though she isn't a true believer, she's kind of caught up in the rhythm of it. These people do not have a sense of individual identity. They're merged, they all look the same.
Alfred, would you like a cookie?
Yes, please. Thank you.
They know that things are not the way they're being portrayed by the great leader. But they've learned that if you're a dissident, you will be imprisoned, you will be executed. There's a book, Influence, written by Robert Cialdini, and Cialdini lays out 6 basic principles of influence, and one is what is called social proof. And that is that we rely on the feedback of people around us to understand what is real and what is not real, and to know what to do and how to react. And so what happens in a cult is that the social proof is controlled by the group. And so, if you will, it's a false social proof, but it's very powerful. Martha, Marcy, May, Marlene.
Martha, what's wrong?
I don't know. I should go back.
Go back where?
This film is the gold standard for any movie about cults. It is the most realistic depiction of what a cult would be like and the difficulty in leaving a group and the recovery process. She feels, like many cult members, that thinking of leaving is being a traitor, that I'm turning my back on God. She really hasn't unpacked or sorted out what has happened to her. And she's been isolated from her family for many months. These are all the emotions that real cult members feel as they walk away. Was it my fault? Am I to blame? But that is how the leader wants her to be. He wants to make it as difficult as possible for Elizabeth Olsen to leave.
What's happened? Are you okay?
I have to go. I can't stay gone, so,
What she's really saying is, the program is really strong. I have been deeply indoctrinated to believe that I have an obligation, a commitment to this group and this way of life. Holy smoke.
What am I looking at here? Prue? Who are these people in the photo?
Ruth. That's Ruth.
Oh my God, I didn't realize.
She's wearing a national costume.
This movie is dear to my heart. I worked on it. I was a technical consultant. Parents will often send me a picture of what their son or daughter looked like before, and then a picture after, and they look totally different. They may lose weight or they may gain weight. They have a group uniform. They don't even act like they used to. Their sense of humor is gone. And that's why they call what people like I do deprogramming, because it is the unraveling of the program that has been instilled by the group. It was once called snapping, in which people would have a sudden change. They would go from the cult personality to their own inherent personality, which had been suppressed and pushed down by the group experience. What we see in this scene is Kate Winslet's moment of conversion, and she's mesmerized. She is literally feeling the power of the guru. And when he touches her, she's going into bliss. And this is very reminiscent of Bhagwan Sri Rajneesh and his ashram in Pune, India. He called it massaging your third eye. In Lifton's book, Thought Reform and the Psychology of Totalism, what the guru does to Kate Winslet would be called mystical manipulation or planned spontaneity. He's gauging her. He can see where she's at. He deliberately does that, and it creates this anchoring, subjective feeling. You can talk about objective facts, but what do you do with these subjective feelings? She will constantly think, I felt the power of the guru. And that is my proof. That is my validation. And there's nothing that you can say to take that away from me. If you're sitting in a room and you feel like you're in a cult, maybe you are. And if you ask someone in the group, is this a cult? And they look at you and say, why would you ask if we're a cult? Why did you answer my question with a question? That's an evasion. That might be your gut feeling, your intuition warning you. So trust your gut. Thank you so much for watching, and thank you so much for having me on Vanity Fair.